Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Turf Today podcast.
What's up?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad.
You're fixing up the studio down there, huh?
Finally threw a few things on there. Had to get a couple logos on the wall.
Nice, man. I love it.
Yeah, I was tired of having just a blank canvas, so it was nice to put a few things up.
Heck yeah. I love it. Watch the Open?
I did, yeah. We watched quite a bit of it today, although we were busy with family. We actually pulled the TV outside, so we were kind of spending the
Nice.
day in the backyard, had it on, cooked some food, had some drinks. It was a
Outstanding.
perfect Father's Day.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if that's a thing in Canada too. I didn't know if that was universal or not.
It'd be a good question to see how many different countries did that. But yeah, we're like up here, we're very Americanized, right? So a lot of the stuff you
Yeah.
guys do, we're very similar.
Awesome. So you got to spend some time with the fam?
Yeah, it's been nice. My old man's been at the cottage for the last few weeks, so he came home and it's nice to spend some time with him. And I had my money on Rory today, so that was really unfortunate.
Oh,
He kind of shot himself in the foot there at the end with a few bogeys, but
yeah. Three
you know,
bogeys coming home over the last 4 or 5 holes or whatever. That was gut-wrenching.
it's unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah.
The tournament was presented well though. Like it was
Oh,
it was really well done. It was really cool to see the course. Like it's challenging for sure, right?
oh my gosh. It was what a great test. Played really well. I mean, I didn't hear anything of, sometimes you hear that unfair here or there or whatever, and I didn't really hear any of that this week. So it was great. And it was set up just kind of like what John told us, right? I mean, they didn't get it as dry, I don't think, as they did in 2014. Just played great. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah, you could see there was certainly some dry spots and like some
Yeah.
some putts that kept rolling and some balls on fairways that kept rolling, but it
Yeah.
was a challenge for sure, especially with the way that the
Oh,
rough played. Like some of those balls that would roll into some of those areas. My goodness.
yeah. Yeah, it's a crapshoot. John said in one of the interviews it was you either have a good lie or you don't. It's just one of those things. There's no rough. They just have those wiregrass, sandy, naturalized areas, and you never know what you're going to get in there. And that kind of played a factor, obviously, coming down to the end. That was crazy. It was a great event. It's my favorite tournament. I love the US Open's my favorite. It's so much fun to watch. Was bummed I didn't get down there and be a part of it, but just was a treat to be able to watch the end today.
Yeah, because you were down in LA last year, right?
Yeah, I was at the last two. I was at Brookline and then was out at LACC last year, and it was supposed to go down this year, and just a couple other projects popped up, and housing and everything down at Pinehurst,
Right.
like John talked about, was pretty challenging. So just opted to stay home and watch it. But I've been texting with John all week, and seems in good spirits, and just saw him on TV get awarded the EJ Marshall platter from the USGA, and he had his kids with him. Like that's just like there's no better way to celebrate Father's Day. I mean, I got choked up. My wife and I and my boys were at a restaurant eating, and just I got a little choked up sitting there watching him get that platter, standing right next to his kids. It was so cool. No better way to celebrate Father's Day, I would imagine.
There was another video too. I think the PGA might have posted it of him getting to put the flag on 18 this morning. He was walking out there
Yeah.
with his kids and he was crying himself. So
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
emotional, special day for him for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he put that Payne Stewart flag out there on 18. What was it, the 25th anniversary of Payne Stewart's win down there? So yeah,
Yeah, I
you
think so.
got to go put that flag out there. Yeah, pretty special. John's such a good dude. I mean, we obviously had him on the podcast, and the audience got to learn a little bit more about him and get to know his personality. But one of the coolest things for me, like I sent him a text on I can't remember which night it was. It might have been Friday night, Friday or Saturday night, and was kind of joking with him because he's all over, like all over any industry related media publications. He's there. So I sent him a picture of him in one of the magazines for some ad or something. I'm like, Derek Zoolander would be jealous of your blue steel pose or something like that. And and so he like within 10 minutes, he sends me a joke back. And it's like, dude, you're in the middle of hosting one of the biggest events of the year, and you've got way better things to do than to text me back with another joke, but he is. I mean, so he was loose. I would imagine the crew down there was loose and just did a phenomenal job all week. The golf course played brilliantly. It looked like on TV, and have heard nothing but rave reviews of the test that it was. So, yeah, yeah. Sad that it's over. Sad I wasn't there, but happy for John and the team. They pulled off another great event.
And still crazy to me because before we talked to him, I still thought there'd be a ton of volunteers showing up there. But like you
Yeah,
were saying with the housing issue, and I think they had a lot of women in turf volunteers there. But outside
yeah,
of, the extra people they were able to bring in, they did it with a pretty solid crew of people that were, either just brought in that year to kind of work at the course or people that had
yeah,
kind of come back to help out. So,
yeah.
power to them for being able to pull it off.
Yeah, they know. I mean, they have a lot of people. There's, no getting around that. I think they said they had 130 or so people,
Gosh.
staff and volunteers. So,
Yeah.
with 10 courses on property, they were able to bring together, I think you said what, 80 people from just the Pinehurst resorts and then another 50 volunteers.
How do you think that would work? Like, would they be taking all the superintendents and assistants from all those courses, or maybe just the superintendents and then letting the assistants run those courses for the couple weeks that it's going on?
I'm not 100% sure. I would assume that they're bringing in just kind of a mix of whoever. I can't imagine them bringing in all the superintendents over. I would assume again it's probably a mix of assistants, AITs, general crew members,
Hmm.
just to pick off various things throughout the week. So I don't know. It's a good question. We didn't really dive into that with them.
Yeah, it'd be a good one to ask.
Yeah,
I did want to go back. I know we skipped ahead a couple weeks here, but back to Muirfield Village.
yeah.
There's something specific about that tournament I wanted to ask you about. It has nothing to do with turf.
Okay.
I heard a lot about the milkshakes
The
at Muirfield.
milkshakes. Yeah, I knew you were going to go to the
Oh,
milkshakes.
good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, I had a couple people reach out. They're like, you have to ask Brian about the milkshakes. And we've had a lot of food questions on this
Yeah.
podcast before,
Yeah.
so that stuff always comes up. So talk to us about that.
It's just one of those special things that Muirfield's known for. They're known for their milkshakes, and I don't even know how many flavors they have, but yeah, it's one of those things there. I don't know. They make amazing milkshakes, and it's what they've gotten to be known for over the years. I've only had a few of them. When I'm out there, I don't really get to go in the clubhouse a ton, but when I've been able to go out there, I've got a couple buddies that are members out there, and whenever I'm able to go over and play. And I've had one or two, and they're pretty special. The Buckeye is my favorite, but
Ooh, what's in the
yeah,
Buckeye?
yeah. So it's peanut butter chocolate. So have you had a Buckeye candy?
No.
Oh, you're missing out, man. So
Yeah,
it's
sounds
yeah,
good.
it's chocolate and peanut butter, and yeah, it's just they're phenomenal. So yeah, it's definitely a thing here. Ohio State Buckeyes, it's kind of one of those things here. So they kind of look like one of the Buckeye nuts there with the chocolate outside and just showing a little bit of the peanut butter in the middle. Yeah, it's one of our things. But yeah, the Buckeye milkshake is certainly one of my favorites. But in the media tent, in the media area for a very long time, Wendy's is headquartered here in Dublin, Ohio. And so they always used to have just a self-serve Frosty machine
No
in the
way.
media
Oh
area. And
no.
that was always a huge hit, huge hit. I don't think they've had that for several years now, but that was always a fan favorite on the media side of things for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be a bit of a problem. That is kind of cool that the courses have their little things. I read a
Oh yeah.
stat. It was something like 600 milkshakes went out to players and their families or something like that in one day. Like,
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I honestly, I haven't done a deep dive into the whole milkshake thing, but I just know they have great milkshakes. And anytime anyone comes into Muirfield, whether you're playing as a member, a guest, or during the tournament, yeah, it's always the big thing to do is get the milkshakes.
nice. So make sure if you go
Yeah.
down there, do not miss that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've got a hat somewhere that's got the milkshakes on it. It's
It's
definitely their thing.
got to be one of the best names in turf. Andy Grow. It's amazing. Thank my dad for that one. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Let's see. Fathers, I
Oh
can't
yeah,
remember.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
You?
Happy Father's Day. Oh yeah, I got two kids and two kids of my own and three stepkids and actually three, well, two and a half, soon to be three grandchildren. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, happy Father's Day.
Thank you. You too, guys.
Did you enjoy it out at the LPGA event then today?
Yeah, I didn't go there today.
Oh, okay.
I went and my boys live with their mom about 45 minutes from here. So I went over and spent some time with them today and had to work this
Nice.
morning though at the home course at Egypt Valley. So
Nice.
we're trying to stay ahead of the heat that we got coming on right now. So
Yeah, it's getting crazy.
it's,
Are you guys experiencing those 90 degrees and all that fun
you
stuff
know, it
that's
was
coming in?
88 today. Tomorrow's supposed to be 94,
Ooh.
93 Tuesday, but 90s throughout the entire week. So yay. And not a drop of rain in sight. Although I tell you what, I've given up on the weather forecasters around here. Lake Michigan, I don't know if you guys looked at where I'm at physically, but
Oh
Lake
yeah.
Michigan's off to our west, and it significantly changes the weather. You can have in the summertime, you can have storms rolling across Chicago, Wisconsin. All those guys will just get hammered, and when gets over the lake, it just falls apart. And you're
Yeah.
watching it, you're like, here it comes, and then it's like nothing. And
Yeah.
so
You're in Grand Rapids then,
yep,
right? Is
just
that
I
where you
live
are?
just north of Grand Rapids in Egypt Valley. The course that I
Yeah.
work at is just northeast. Have you been here? Been over
I
here?
have. I
Oh, you
have.
have?
I have a buddy that coaches lacrosse there at Grand Valley State.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've
Yeah,
been up there several times for some lacrosse games and took the kids up there to watch his
very
team
cool.
and
You ever play
whatnot.
the
So
course over there, the Meadows?
I have
Meadows. Yeah,
not. I have
yeah.
not played. I've not played any golf up in the Grand Rapids area, just kind of explored downtown. What's the famous hot dog shop? It's like from American Pie or something in
Yeah.
down in
Oh,
Grand Rapids.
you're gonna put me on the spot.
Yeah, I just did. Come on,
Oh,
Andy.
I should have prefaced before I even started talking. I should have said I apologize for the state of exhaustion that I'm just finishing up. So it's been a heck of a week. So Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
yeah, what yesterdog.
Yesterdog, that's it. That's the
Yeah,
one.
yep. It just this might be a slow interview if you ask me a question. Give me like 45 seconds and I'll give you the answer. Adam, you were just asking. So yeah, so in addition to my normal assistant superintendent responsibilities over at Egypt Valley, this past week, obviously the Meyer LPGA was here, and that's at Blythefield Country Club, which is only I kind of live right between the two. It's only about 4 miles to my west. Egypt Valley is work is just to the southeast, like 4 miles. So, as part of their events on the Monday and Tuesday, we get a version of their pro-am, their celebrity pro-am. So Monday and Tuesday are shotguns. I can't remember what time it was, but we have 36 holes. We have two courses, the Ridge course and the Valley course. Both courses were completely filled both days. So that was normal work there. But then starting Monday night, I volunteer over at Blythefield mowing fairways for them. And they like most tour events, whether it's PGA, LPGA, whatever, they need help. It's my fourth season going over there, and it's great. Now it's just something that I do, but I did it for 6 nights in addition to working 9 to 12 hours each day. So
Jeez.
I haven't seen my wife much, which she might think that's a good thing, but um,
I
uh,
always tell my wife that extends the marriage when I
it does,
travel.
yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like we just added a week, so but no, it's a lot of fun. I love it. I love seeing the behind the scenes production of a of an event like that. The LPGA, the ladies love coming to Blythefield. They love this event. It's the Meyer LPGA Classic, and actually, it was I didn't see it yet. I haven't watched it. I have it. I'll stream it later. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. It's a pretty neat deal
Awesome.
they got going on over there. The grounds crew over there at Blythefield, they got it dialed in. So
So you're an assistant by day and then mowing fairways by night sort of thing. Yeah, just I moonlight for a week and then I wait another 52 weeks and I'll do it all over again. So
Nice. And always on the fairways? Is that kind of your gig over there, or do you switch it up a
yeah,
little bit?
yep. That's they bring in six fairway. Well, they bring in I think they bring in four extra fairway units, demos from Toro, and then they got their regular crew. I think they got at least two or four of the fairway units, and then like I said, the last 3 or 4 years, last 4 years. This was my fourth season, so last 3 years, I've been fortunate enough that they stuck me on it, and I'm able to follow a completely burned in line that Stevie Wonder could follow. But hey, it's cool. So it's a lot of fun. And it's actually something that I wanted to get out there is that anytime anybody in this industry has an opportunity, it doesn't matter what tour it is, it doesn't matter anything. If there's somebody asking for help, a volunteer thing comes out like through us, the Michigan Golf Course MIGCSA Superintendent Association, they spread all those things out for like the Midland Dow or the Dow Classic, which is another LPG event, the senior event down in Benton Harbor, the Detroit, Rocket Mortgage. They're all, as you guys know, they're always looking for
Oh
help,
yeah.
always looking for volunteers, and you get a shirt or two shirts and a hat and a pass to go watch whatever you're doing, but it's worth the experience
And to meet a bunch of great people, right?
oh yeah, I mean the networking opportunities, just showing your face is tremendous. In addition to shaking hands with, hey, here's two superintendents of wherever, it doesn't matter where. It's really a tremendous opportunity. And then you got guys like me. I'm 52. I'm not the young kid right out of school or anything like that, but still, it's neat because it's just cool. It's nice meeting people that love what they're doing and they exhaust themselves just like you do, but you still get up the next day, you do it all over again, you do it again at night if you need to, and repeat, rinse, was it repeat, wash, rinse, or rinse cycle?
Rinse and
So
repeat.
rinse and repeat. Thank
I
you.
like it. I like it. You mentioned the Michigan chapter. You guys have, in my opinion, one of the best chapters in the country. And Adam, I know Adam really well.
Yeah. Yep.
How involved are you with the association?
Pretty bare bones. I mean,
Yeah.
at this point, basically just being a member.
Okay.
Adam was there. Adam was driving our clipping cart, taking care of our clipping cart for us last
Of course, yeah. Give him the clipping cart. You don't want to put anything that's meaningful in his hands.
and,
Yeah.
and on the last night, I think we only had to empty, once every two or three fairways. So even that responsibility was pretty low key. But no, Adam, you're right. Adam is phenomenal. He's a great guy. But no, my activity level with them at the time being is definitely on the low side. I'd like to change that a little bit, but I'm still trying to find my direction. I kind of came into this gig entirely maybe the opposite of everybody else. I did a almost 25-year career in the Coast Guard. Haven't been to turf school or anything like that, but my dad was a golf course superintendent back in the 80s into the mid 90s up on Mackinac Island,
Oh,
old golf
nice.
course up there, built in 1898 by Alex Smith. He's one of the Scots that brought golf to America. He won the U.S. Open in 1906 and 1910. The whole Smith family is really big in that. But there's a little competition between us and another course. But as far as who's the actual longest and oldest continuously played golf course in the state, but one of them, I think Les Cheneaux Golf Club beats us by like a month. I say us.
Oh, wow.
He stopped working there in '98,
You
but
grew up there,
it's
so you can still say us.
yeah, okay, yeah, and Dad's an honorary member up there because of his
Awesome.
his work that he did. But it was like we literally lived in the clubhouse um, for the first year, I think. The clubhouse slash caddy shack. Caddy shack is a room probably let's say 20 by 20, just an open single room. Literally, caddies used to hang out in there and stuff. They put a couple of beds in there, and then across the courtyard was the clubhouse where we had there was a stove and a fridge and a sink and whatnot in the actual pro shop. It's hard to give people the feeling of what it was really like in that place back then. And it was 83, I believe, when he started there, 83 or
Wow.
84. And finally, then a couple of years later, they built a proper proper lodging for him. So, but you lived right I don't know. Have you guys heard of Mackinac Island?
I,
Have
I
you?
was just going to ask you, I mean, what was it like? Because that's a pretty remote place. I mean, what was it like at on
Yeah, so
Mackinac?
it's not super remote per se. It's just difficult. It's not even difficult. It's easy to get to it, but it takes a lot of steps. So you go,
Yeah,
the no laying up guys,
yeah,
they went and they actually played Wawashkimo. And one of their funny things is that their GPS showed that they arrived at their destination. Well, their destination was a boat dock because you have to take a ferry across the straits to Mackinac. Well, then you get to Mackinac. There's no cars on Mackinac Island. There's
right.
bikes and horses. There's some fire trucks and stuff like that, and an ambulance and a cop car too. But so then you have about a 30 or 40-minute either walk or taxi ride. Taxi is horse-drawn taxi up to the golf course, and then you're finally at your destination. So it was a very unique experience, that's for sure. I'm from Traverse City originally, which is northern Lower Peninsula, and Dad used to be the assistant pro back in the '60s at Traverse City Country Club and at Elk Rapids Country Club, which is an old Donald Ross course. Little nine-holer up there. It's one of the best kept secrets in northern Michigan, as far as I'm concerned, especially if you have any interest in history, golf history.
Yeah.
And so it was great. It was great growing up there. I didn't spend all my time there. Mom stayed in Traverse City. Dad would come back and forth in the spring on the weekends. He was a teacher, school teacher as well. So was mom. And summertime would come and he'd stay up there. And then after a couple of years of doing that, he retired from teaching. He said, "I'm done with teaching. I want to go back to doing golf stuff full time." So he did that for, what did I say, 13 seasons or whatever it was, and ended there in 1998, which was their centennial year. And the cool thing about that place is that it's unchanged. Um, it's unchanged because for a lot of reasons. One, the physical space. It's actually in a state park. The land is leased from the state of Michigan. And it's on the National Register of Historic Places. It's on the Michigan Register of Historic Places. There's a lot of history there. The Battle of 1814 from the War of 1812 was held on the grounds, obviously before the course was there, but a lot of cool stuff like that. So in hindsight, now looking back, I realize that that's where I got my interest in, especially golf history and greenskeeping history and that sort of thing. So yeah, man, it was cool. And then I just kind of spun out of control from there. So, and then I joined the Coast Guard and got an opportunity to work. I worked up in Alaska at Bear Valley Golf Course on Kodiak Island, Juneau, Alaska, worked down in Virginia, Mississippi. Every time I transferred, I'd find a part-time gig just to work for, come in maybe on a weekend or something like that and get some free golf and still kind of keep my foot in that door. So yeah, and then retired a few years ago. I retired, oh geez, actually 8 years ago, I retired from the Coast Guard. And only 4 years ago, I started working at Egypt Valley. I got back into the golf stuff and started doing the assistant gig this year. We had an opening on one of our courses and said, what the heck? Why not?
Was this almost something you knew you'd get back into? Like, were you connected all throughout these years just for free golf, or was this something you were really passionate about and you wanted to get back into?
It was a little bit of both. I think for a long time, during like the core of my career, it was kind of a forgotten thing. Coast Guard was everything, and I never really thought, you're young and whatnot, you don't think really more than 15 minutes ahead of time, but let alone when you're retiring from the service. So it was interesting. I kind of kick myself now because I wish that when I retired in 2016, I wish I would have gotten right back into the golf stuff because that would have been 8 more years that I would have had under my belt. And who knows where I'd be at this point. So I was sitting watching the Masters in 2021 downstairs because I had COVID. I was isolating for like 2.5 weeks. And I was like, you know what? I was talking to Dad because we were watching the Masters, or he was up in Traverse City, but watching the Masters together, talking to him on the phone. And I'm like, you know what? I think I want to get back into this. And he started to gift me some of his hickory golf collection at that point. He's not dying or anything, but he just kind of realized that he had way too much. He had over 350 hickory clubs. And
Wow.
yeah, and a lot of them are back there and they're over here, but I've gotten rid of a lot of them. But that kind of kickstarted me again. and then I jumped back into it. So yeah, I love it. I really do. It's exhausting, and clearly I'm not a young buck at all anymore, but I'm more than ready and able to work any of the young guys under the table at any moment. So
So you mentioned earlier too that turf school is not something you've been through or anything, but is that something you're looking to pursue as you're looking to advance your career here?
yes and no. I've talked with my director of agronomy, Jeff Holmes, and we kind of go back and forth about what I want to do past this. I mean, being 52, um, yeah, I think I was fortunate to have this position offered up. Certainly, I think a lot of it had to do with my leadership, and that experience from the Coast Guard, plus from building, being on a construction crew, building a course, but that was again 20 years ago or something like that. And so I kind of poke into it, and think, okay, maybe I'll do like Penn State's online course, but then I'm like, oh, man, I just really don't want to do this stuff anymore. It's not that I don't want to learn, but I really am challenged at sitting in front of a computer and learning. And I mean, obviously, Michigan State University is an hour away from here, but I can't. I got kids. I got, a wedding coming up in 2 weeks for my stepson. I mean, I'm not just taking off to go to school for a season or two. So I don't know. I kind of think about it and then I don't. And then I think about it and I don't. And by the time I probably make a decision, I'll be saying goodbye and it would be too late. So, and I don't even know what my career goals are, to be honest with you. I mean, at this point, again, being 52, I really don't believe that there's going to be a lot of, I'm not going to get a big gig at a big place. I might be able to pick up a superintendent job at a mom and pop or a smaller muni or something like that, smaller public course, but who knows what direction it's going to go. We'll see.
That's kind of the nice thing about it, right? You just keep working. And like you said, with the networking, you never know who you're going to meet and what kind of
Yeah.
opportunities are come up.
Yeah, exactly.
We talk to a lot of people that kind of go back and forth whether, school is the right way to go or if it's experience. And, you're somebody who grew up on a course, was around it a long time. You've been in the Coast Guard and now, working as an assistant. So you have a lot of different experience. And I'm sure something can come up, whether it's, becoming a general manager of a golf course or superintendent. I'm sure something's there for you. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you do outside of out of golf right now?
I don't remember.
That's what it's like,
uh,
eh?
Or inside of golf?
yeah.
How much are you digging into the history stuff?
Well, yeah.
Hickories and links, we got to dig into that.
Yeah. So I'm not here to promote my Instagram page because I don't care if I have 5 followers or if I have
We
two.
don't mind if you promote it. That's fine.
But yeah, it's hickories and links on Instagram, and I think I have a Facebook page or whatever it is too. But I started it a couple years ago, 2022, in the fall of 22. I went over to Scotland for 2 weeks. Took a solo trip over there. I only played hickory golf over there. That's about now what I play 90% of the time. Only took my hickory sticks. All of them are all original. They were actually all made in Scotland, 110 plus years ago, depending on which ones I was playing at that day. But back in the 80s, my dad went over to Scotland a couple of times. The golf course, Wawashkamo Golf Club is the name of that club, by the way. They sent him over there as a learning experience because Wawashkamo is and now I really hate saying this, but it's a link style course. It was laid out by a Scotsman. So everybody's like, oh, it's link style. Well, and it's on the center of an island. So technically it's surrounded by water, but it's on limestone. And then there's like a layer of dirt and then the turf. So it's not really links land. There's no sand there. It's not a sand-based anything, but it's very wild. No watered fairways. But anyways, they sent him over to Scotland. He kind of created a sister club relationship with Musselburgh Golf Club, which is, depending on who you ask, it's the oldest golf course in the world still remaining. St. Andrews has a great marketing tool. They got their marketing machine going behind it. But if you really look into the numbers and stuff, Musselburgh Old Links has been there for, again, now you're splitting hairs, right? So when you're going back 350, 450 years, does 2 years really matter? I mean, they're old, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, so he did that trip. He did 2 trips over there in the late 80s. And Scotland was always a place that really kind of had interest. I mean, I'm not a traditional golfer by any stretch of the imagination. I think golf carts are the evil of all golf. Um, I think that American golf is a bastardization of what golf really should be. I'm not popular a lot of times with the buddies that I golf with because I walk everywhere and they're like, you're speeding us, you're slowing us up. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I've already hit my shot. And they're still looking for their ball driving around in circles in the high grass where you're not supposed to be. So, but I went over to Scotland and really took a nosedive into the history and ended up taking a second trip last May, a year ago. So I've played actually more different courses, or pretty close to the same number of different courses in Scotland than I have here in the States. But I've only played hickory golf in Scotland. I never took a modern club at all, nothing steel except for the head. And to me, that really put me into it. I'm an overseas member at Musselborough Golf Club. I played Carnoustie. I'm an overseas member of the Carnoustie Golf Club. Played St. Andrews, played the old course. So I played a couple of the big ones, but one of the coolest experiences I had over there is at Prestwick. So I went in 2022 as the Open was at St. Andrews. So when I was there in October, it was crazy because it was October, end of October, like the 18th, I think. They were still taking down the infrastructure from the Open. And that was how many months before that, So
Yeah.
that was cool to see that. The stands weren't up and the buildings weren't up still, but the foundations were there, the bases were there, and they were still working on taking it down. But to go to Scotland and go to St. Andrews, I don't know how many of the listeners are into the greenskeeping history side of things, but actually today is old Tom Morris's 203rd birthday, and Tom Morris, if you will, is kind of the father of greenskeeping. He was at Prestwick, he was at St. Andrews, he was a club maker, all that sort of stuff. And then his son, of course, young Tommy, was a phenomenal player. But one of the cool things that happened that year, since it was the 150th anniversary of the Open, Prestwick, which is where the first Open was held in 1851, they recreated the original 12 holes from 1851. And for a history nerd, that was like a pinnacle. So I went over. It happened to be during the time that I was there. So I coughed up the extra significant amount of money. And I got two 12-hole rounds. You play one round in the morning. And then you go in and you have a members lunch at the members long table. You have to have a jacket and tie. It's very, very proper, but very relaxed. And then you went out in the afternoon, played the second 12. And then in between there, they gave you a tour of their archives, and their archives are like the original scorecard from 1851, 1852, the first Open Championship scorecards. They have the actual originals. They have the belt. They actually have in their minutes from the meeting in 1850, the fall of the next year, where they proclaimed that the championship will be open to all, which is how the Open became known as what it is. And I mean, I was nerding out in there, man, and it was incredible. But to be able to walk, from a turf aspect, to try to tie this back into the podcast, is that they did a phenomenal job. Some of the greens are still the original greens from 1851. Some of the holes, actually, it plays as number 2, but I think it plays as number 17 on the modern day course, is the Alps hole, which is a par 4, and it's basically 2 blind shots, completely blind. But the second shot is the biggest one, and there's 3 posts up at the top of this massive dune ridge, and depending on where the pin position is, you hit towards. If you're a good golfer, you aim at that and you hit over that. If you're me, you just hit it and goes wherever. But on the other side is a bunker called the Sahara, and it's just massive. And then the green sits right after that. That's the oldest original existing hole in golf championship. It's never been, it's been changed, but it's never been changed. They have never done anything to it, agronomy wise. I'm sure they have, because obviously our processes have changed over the past 150, 200 years. But to be able to play that stuff is just something else. And it was like the golfer history nerd of me was just completely nerding out. The turf nerd in me was completely nerding out. They had to cut some of the hole locations weren't there anymore. The greens weren't there anymore. So they actually cut out sod and relayed fresh sod in there, and they did a phenomenal job. And it was well worth the cost of admission, because they treated you like a king for the day. But it's phenomenal. In 1853 or four, when old young Tommy, the first hole is 578 yards, 9 feet 2 inches, or something like that. He scored it. He got a 3 with hickory.
Okay.
It's like,
That's insane.
dude, how do you? I don't. I didn't even keep score. I usually don't keep score because it takes the fun out of the game for me. But unless I'm doing match play, so you want to dive into that sort of stuff, and Scotland is the place to go. If you're just even an okay golfer, which I am, I'm nothing special, but they have such an appreciation for their game, and they appreciate it when people come over. Not the regular Americans with your $7,000 bag of new Callaways, and you want a golf cart. And I mean, I played 24 or 25 different courses over there, and I saw 5 power carts total. They walk. That's the way the game should be played. And but from an architecture standpoint, the way that we build and design our golf courses, number one, they're much newer, and we like to put condos here and a subdivision here and a pool over here. And it's more than just golf here in America for a lot of the places, obviously not all of them, but yeah, it's incredible. And anybody that has any interest in golf needs to go.
So did you play a gourmet ball while you were over there?
No, I played a couple of different, I actually have them all right here. So I do play feathery golf as well, to take it back to the before the 1800s, and down to back to the 1850s. So this is a reproduction made by Denny and Kathy Lane, a couple of friends of mine. It's called a Lane feathery, and it's literally goose. I think it's goose feathers, and they boil them down. They have some little mixture that they put in there. They cut out the leather, and then they stuff them. They stuff the feathers while they're wet in there. The leather gets wet and whatnot, and then it hardens up. This one's got a couple hundred strokes on it, but
wow.
And then there's a company called McIntyre Golf Ball Company, and they make reproduction gutta percha balls, and that's what I played with a lot. But I also do play with when I play what's called modern hickory, which is like pre-1935, from the 1900s to 1935. I play with Titleist True Feel, because it's a low compression, and that's what you want with the hickories. So yeah, but it's a rabbit hole, and it's addictive.
Oh yeah. Did your passion for the history of golf then kind of continue to spur on? Obviously your father had a little bit of something to do with it, but as you got deeper and deeper into the history of it, did it kind of push you and your passion more for the greenkeeping side of it?
Yeah, it actually did, and to the point where, so I'd done a few articles for the Society of Hickory Golfers that I'm a board member on, but I had a couple of articles published in their publication, and I started to think about actually writing a book on golf course greenskeeping history. Because I mean, can you guys tell me a book that exists out there? There's one.
There aren't many, yeah,
and it's actually I can't even compete with this book. I'm reading it again right now. It's by Melvin Lucas Jr. It's the history of greenkeeping, and it's huge. And the amount of detail he went into is like, okay, I'm not even going to try. You pretty much covered it all. But that was the great thing about going like to Prestwick, for example, is that, I mean, that's where Old Tom. Oh, I got a dog poking in. Come on, come here, or just stay there. That's fine too. So that's where top dressing came from. Is Old Tom Morris was walking across a green with a bucket of sand and accidentally spilled it. I mean, that's the pared down version of what happened. And he went over and got all angry and spread it out, and came back, a few days later, and he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, stuff's doing a little bit better." So he tried it again, and that's like where top dressing came from. That was the mindset behind it. And So yeah, it certainly got a cat coming in. Sorry, guys.
You got a house full.
Yeah, two dogs, two cats. This guy is the asshole cat, so we'll see what happens. Which, in my opinion, they all
About
are.
to be a fight in
Yeah.
there.
But no, it definitely started with my dad. It started growing up on that golf course. I didn't realize it now at the time, being 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, I mean, hindsight's 2020, of course, but looking back, I didn't really appreciate it for what we had there. And the history that was there. But now, and as I got older, when I remarried, my brother-in-law is actually the director of agronomy over at Sand Valley, Rob Doon.
Oh, wow.
And I married into that unknowingly. He was up at the Kingsley Club for a few years up in northern Michigan, and then got picked up by the guys over there. And now I think he started at Sand Valley as the super over there, and then he got picked up and bumped up to the director of agronomy over everything. So I got that. And then my cousin, actually my second cousin, is actually my boss here at Egypt Valley, it turns out. We have grandparents that were brother and sister. So it's kind of it's got to be in my blood somehow, and it's got to have something to do with last name, like Adam said in the very beginning. So
That's right.
there's something going on. But the history part, I've always liked history in general. But to add in and to tie it in with the golf stuff, and then realizing how deep and how many different directions you can go with it is phenomenal. And that's actually one of the things I like the most about golf in general, right? You can appreciate and you can have a passion for the agronomy side. You can have a passion for the architecture. You can have a passion for the history. You could not give a shit about the history and just love playing the game with your brand new clubs, driving around in a golf cart. All those different ways, and it's the same game. That's what's so cool. And then throw into the mix that at least over in Scotland and some of the courses here, you can go play the same courses that the greatest golfers in the world play on a tournament. You can't do that at Lambeau Field. I can't just be like, hey guys, let's go throw the ball around at Lambeau. It doesn't work that way. So it's that big combination of things. There's so many different ways. I'm big into the architecture side of it. I'm not as big with not as big as I am with the history side, but I'm a okay player. I just bought, actually I won them, but up to about 3 months ago, my newest set of clubs was my dad's old Callaway S2H2s from 1988. That was my
Oh
new
boy.
set. If I played moderns, that's what I was playing, was a 35-year-old set of clubs. So I wasn't that good. It didn't matter to me, but that's where hickory was so great. So yeah, I'm kind of all over the place, but
Do they still do that hickory, the national championships down at like Mid Pines or something?
yeah, so they rotated out now. So there's the
Okay.
U.S. Hickory Open this year. It's over in Wisconsin. There's four. They do it geographically: East Coast, Midwest, Central, and West Coast.
Is Leffert still running that?
No,
Okay.
there's a different. So there's the U.S. Hickory Open. This is where the sleep is starting to catch up to me. Over at Foxburg Country Club in Pennsylvania, which is arguably, again, there's a lot of arguing you can do with what's the oldest and whatnot, but the oldest course left in the oldest original course in America, they hold their Foxburg Hickory Open Championship, which to me, that would be, it's not the Hickory Open, but it's still just as cool. And to play it on a course from 18 whatever is really sweet. So
That's really cool.
yeah.
I want to jump back to Scotland really quickly because that's obviously something that really sparked something for you
Oh
going
yeah.
over there. I would love to ask you about the greenkeeping over there. Like, was there anything that blew you away or something that surprised you or shocked you seeing over there?
Not really. A lot of their practices are the same as ours. I mean, I'm at St. Andrews on the old course, and I got in on the singles queue, which meant I lined up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a bunch of other guys at the old course pavilion, and I think it was about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and all of a sudden you see some headlights bouncing at you on the course, and you can hear the hum of a couple of triplexes coming, and it was dark enough to where I couldn't tell if they were mowing the green or if they were mowing the tees. And I think it was the tees, because where I was laying down on the ground at that time, trying to stay awake, was just to the side of the putting green at the old course there. So a lot of the stuff is the same. one of the really cool things about it though is, like here you go with the history stuff again. And at Musselboro, not the Musselboro Old Course, but is it Royal Musselboro? The very first cup cutter is there. Musselboro is where the cup cutter, the 4.5 inches, that came from. I think the guy's name is Robert Gay, back in whenever the heck it was, 1800 something. He took a drain pipe that happened to be 4.5 inches and he made a cutter out of it. And that became the first cup cutter. They actually still have that in the building there. So
Come on.
the thing about it that's to me was the coolest though, and it didn't really surprise me because I had talked to enough people over there beforehand, and I talked to my dad, and I follow a lot of these the European courses on Instagram and stuff, but I don't follow the big American flavored ones that you're gonna go over there, and that's like the bucket list ones that every American wants to go to because they basically cater to Americans, so they do things very American over there. I played a lot of the smallest courses that are over there, little 9-holers. And one of the coolest things is that you'll go to the 9 or an 18-hole course and there'll be like 2 greenskeepers and that's it. And the members will volunteer once a month, and you'll get 30 or 40 members that will come out and they'll help fill divots, they help trim up, they do whatever. And that's a much more of a community-based sort of thing. And again, I'm talking about the smaller courses. I'm not talking about, obviously not the old course, not Carnoustie, not even Prestwick, but some of these other ones that Americans will never have heard of, like Kilspindie and Dunbar and Anstruther. Some of the courses we played up north, that sort of thing too. But the smaller number of greenskeepers was, I guess I would say that would be the biggest surprise compared to, on my side, counting the super, myself, because both courses share the same mechanic. I think we got 15 people on my side. So we got a staff of 35-ish people between the two courses, including the mechanic and the 2 supers and the 2 assistants. So I think definitely the smaller size, the downsizing of everything, and just the way that they do stuff, it's generally speaking, it's rougher. They're manicured well, the greens roll well, but unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity, or I didn't create the opportunity, maybe I should say, to sit and talk with any of the greenskeepers there. I was playing at Ely, which is in the Fife region, so south of St. Andrews. And there were some guys there walk mowing the tees, and I talked to them for 15 minutes while I was waiting for a group. I let a group play through so I could talk to these guys, and a lot of the same practices and stuff, just different grass and a lot of sand underneath underneath that turf, and that's the links land. So not really surprised, but enough to open your eyes and kind of think about, well, how can I do something differently back here? And then you realize you can't, because I got it's just a lot of stuff doesn't path over, if you will. So
do you ever see courses, some of the high-end courses in the States going to the model of what they do in Scotland and all that, where they give public access to their facilities?
Public access is that. Do I see it?
It's a misnomer.
Yeah. Over there, the prime example of public. Yeah, St. Andrews, the old course, is a park. Every Sunday, except during a championship, it's open to the public. There's dogs walking on the green. There's kids in the bunkers. There's families walking around having a picnic in the Valley of Sin. Families standing on the Swilcan Bridge taking pictures. There's no golf going on because it's a public park. So much is open over there. There's a few that aren't. You've got like Muirfield, not Muirfield Village, but you got Muirfield, and it's gated. But even then, the visitors can play. I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. You get a 4-ball round, you get lunch, and then I can't remember what the afternoon round is. But almost every place over there is open. They have a very different structure, though. One of the things that I learned really quickly is that here in the States, generally speaking, and there's going to be exceptions to this, so whatever everybody wants to say is fine. But generally speaking, you have one golf course and one golf club, and they're the same thing usually. Like up the road here is Boulder Creek Golf Club. It's also Boulder Creek Golf Course. In Scotland, It would be two different things in a lot of cases. Carnoustie is a prime example. It's the Carnoustie Golf Links. That's the physical property. But on the golf links, there's at least 4 clubs that are literally right across the street from the golf links. There's the Carnoustie Golf Club. I'm sorry, I don't remember the other 2 or 3 that are there, but they're separate from that club, or excuse me, they're separate from that links. So that's part, I think, of their basis for how everything is open over there. And plus, it's their game, right? They like to make sure that it's public. Like I said, you can go play, they call it Renaissance over there, but you can go play Doak's, Renaissance course over there. You just have to, there's very few courses that you cannot play over there if you have the pockets that are deep enough. There's very few gates. There's very few fences. Most of the courses, because most of the ones I played, I'd say actually 95% of the courses I played were links courses, true links courses. So they're right on the coast. Well, there's a coastal path trail that runs basically all the way around Scotland. There's people walking. I mean, you stand on the tee at Cove Sea Links, which is up in the Highlands or the Moray region, so kind of the northern eastern part of the country. And you got to wait because there's a family hiking down the trail right there. And they could cut across the course if they wanted to. I mean, everybody there gets it, though. It's not so compared to here where we like to close things off, we like to have gates. We have country clubs up the wazoo. It's very ironic that I work at a country club. I get that. It's kind of the exact opposite of what I think golf should be, but it's not for me to say. And they send me a nice paycheck every couple of weeks, so I'll stop there. But I don't see that happening here in the States. I wish it would. I wish that golf courses would be built for golf. And the Bandon Dune stuff, the Sand Valley stuff, that sort of thing, where you might get a cart if you have a medical note or whatever, but you're walking, you're taking a caddy, and you got to pay out pretty deep pockets for that too. So I don't see it happening though. But I will put a little asterisk next to that the courses back then, I mean, a lot of these courses are 150, 200 years old. The tee sometimes, like I played, Buddy and I when we went in May, we played Fortrose and Rosemarkie, which is up in the Highlands, 18 holes, 2 hours, 45 minutes walking, and we weren't rushing.
Wow.
It's not a long course, obviously, right? I mean, certainly it's not going to be that long, but the key is that, you first tee, I think it was a par 4, get to the green, and then as you're standing, it's out on a peninsula. So as you're standing, let's just say looking to the north, you turn to your left, and about 30 yards that way, 40 yards that way is the second tee. And then it's kind of like this saw razor teeth going out, and then it comes back and then it works around itself. But stuff was not built, obviously, 100 years ago, 150 years ago for condos. It was built for as a golf course. And so that's the caveat that I always put in, is I get that, like, even me walking at Boulder Creek, going from the first hole to the second hole, I have to walk out to a main road. There's a sidewalk there, and then I walk up that, and then I cut back behind a residential area to get to the third tee from the second green. It takes 5 minutes to do that, but it's not like bang, bang, bang. And I don't know, man. I'm the anti. Oh, got another dog coming in.
We're just waiting for the rest of the farm to come in, Andy.
Yeah, exactly.
What are the chickens and the pigs?
Oh, there's deer in the backyard right now. I'm surprised the dogs haven't started barking at that. So,
Well, Andy, I wanted to mention you and Brian have something in common then, both kind of growing up having a father that's in golf course maintenance, being a superintendent. So I'd love to ask both of you guys this question then. In honor of Father's Day, what would be your best memory with your dad on the course growing up?
Brian, you want to go first?
No. You're the guest. You go first.
It's going to be so. I wish I could paint the picture of a Washkumo. Everybody go to the website, go to their Facebook page, and just look it up. The 9th green is right next to the club. It's a 9-hole course, 2 sets of tees to make it 18. The 9th green is right next to the clubhouse. And back then, the enclosed porch portion, we just had there was a round table there with like a picnic table type thing with some soft chairs, some lounge chair type stuff. And I would say that on the course, some of my favorite memories, the strongest ones for sure, are sitting on there as the sun sets, eating dinner in the evening. It was just we'd ride, one of us, usually me, would ride our bike downtown. It would take, there was a good pizza place called Sarducci Brothers. I can remember the name of it. They don't even exist anymore there, but I used to ride as fast as I could. We'd place the order. I'd ride down there, get up the order, and then you have to ride up. And there's a big hill, the Grand Hotel Hill, that you have to ride up. And I'd have this pizza strapped to the basket on the front of a single speed beach cruiser, which is what everybody uses up there. I'd run as fast or ride as fast as I could, get back out to the course, and Dad would have things locked up. Everything closed at 6 o'clock on the course. It was just what it was. And we'd sit there in the evenings, and usually the fall ones were probably some of the best, because when those leaves start changing up there and the cool air comes in and stuff, it was just, I think that was it. But I'm going to modify that at the same time, because in honor of Father's Day, like you were just saying, Adam, I want to really praise my dad, because the course, it was his hard work. It was more than just that one memory of dinner on the porch, because his hard work, Michael Bamberger went up there, wrote about it in Golf Digest. There was an article about that course on that, and just that course, and they loved it. They called it something else that they've never played before. It was an experience unlike other. Golf Digest, I think it's still the only 9-hole course that Golf Digest designated as a golf course of historical importance in the U.S. That was during my dad's tenure there. And because of that, it was watching him work and seeing his work ethic. And he didn't have any turf training either. He would go to like the Michigan State turf school and that sort of thing. So I think the memory is bigger than just a pizza on the porch, but that's a very specific one. But the bigger part of it is his work ethic and how much blood, sweat, and tears he put into that place, and seeing him do that, but also sharing each of those moments, many of those moments, not all of them, but each of those moments with him. That's probably, for me, probably the biggest thing up there. Sorry. I told you guys in the email, I'll just keep going. So
No, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
From the heart.
And I agree 100%. I mean, it's just a culmination of all the times, and I learned so much about work ethic from my father, and I talked about it in something else I was doing recently. And when I got up to go to school, he was already gone, and we didn't see him until it was dinner time, and then he passed out on the couch, or on his chair, and it's like, all right, I get it now. Like, I understand it now. But so many great memories. And I actually played golf with my dad and my father-in-law today, so it was pretty special. But it, just so many times where we lived on the golf course, we'd play the little 3-hole loop that was right behind us. That was so fun. And those evening cruises around the golf course, checking things out, which were great. And I was fortunate enough, my dad hosted 2 U.S. Senior Opens. So spending some time with him, driving around the golf course, walking inside the ropes.
Sure.
I have a picture here somewhere, myself and Jack Nicklaus and Orville Moody, I think, was the other pro's name.
Yeah, I know that name from Dad.
Yeah. So because I was out cruising around with my dad, and Dad and Jack started striking up a conversation, talking about something. He's like, "Oh, hey, this is my son," and however many years later, I end up playing golf at Ohio State, and then they have it while I'm still a student at Ohio State, and I get to meet Jack again, and we share that bond and all that.
That's
but
cool.
My fondest memory will always be in the 2000 Senior Open that was hosted at Saucon Valley, where my dad was the director of grounds there. He actually got to play as a marker in the first group during the Senior Open.
Really?
So that was one of the coolest things, because they made a scene of it all. Like, he went down, he hit balls, Saturday morning or whatever it is. He got the words Friday night that he was going to play as a marker. He went and warmed up a little bit Friday night. You know how it is tournament weeks. Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
So he hit a couple balls, and then Saturday morning he's warming up, and then when he's done and making his way to the first tee, a bunch of the members escorted him up to the first tee. They were like his security, walking him up to the front tee, to the first tee. He had people asking him for autographs and all that. And me and my brother, my mom, the whole family was there to watch him play. And that was something I will always cherish.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I was working for NBC during the tournament, so I couldn't be with him. But my brother was his caddy. So
nice.
But yeah, that was. I get choked up just thinking about it. It was special for him, which makes it special for us.
Yeah. It really is one of the coolest parts about the game, and I look around at some of the stuff that Dad's handed down to me, and he had quite a collection of stuff, and we've together have decided to sell quite a bit of it, which we do. I put it on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or some of the groups and whatnot, but a lot of it I'm keeping because
Yeah.
it was his. I've got his original, like I said, I've got his Callaways here. I'm never going to sell those clubs. They're worth probably $35, but that's his first set he had when he was the pro up at Washington. That he got his sponsorship or however it worked back then with Callaway. The hickory stuff that he collected, he wasn't big. He's not a big name guy, right? He doesn't care what the club, who made it or anything like that. But I've got his original clubs. I'm not gonna get rid of those ever. And it's such a cool connection. And obviously, Brian, you feel it. It's the stories like that you can sit down and either share with him or share with a friend or share with a coworker or whatever. And it's just such a unique thing that you don't necessarily, I don't think you can get some of that stuff anywhere else. And certainly not exclusive just to golf, but I kind of feel like it is.
Yeah, it's special. It's special. So, as a big historian and hickory guy, have you been down here to Dr. Herdson's office?
I have.
Oh,
yeah. Oh my God, dude.
Right? I
Oh
could spend
my
a week
God.
there and never get bored.
I know. I could spend just in the mock-up, the downtown mock-up
Right.
street. It's like, what in the heck is this, man? It was absolutely crazy. The Golf Heritage Society down there holds there's a kind of a swap meet sort of thing that goes on down there. Convention, I think is what we call it. But was that last year? Last year I went down there. I think it was in February. And I went down there, and every year he opens up his office, and wow, just oh my God! Like, even if you're not into history, even the tiniest bit, just to walk in there, it's like, just go. Have you been in the bathroom there? I mean, the bathroom.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just the whole thing is crazy.
The phone booth.
Yeah, the phone booth is great, but it's cool when you get the historians that are the architects, and the architects that are historians, and they put such a, Doak is certainly a big one, right? And his thoughts and design and minimalist sort of movement and stuff like that's directly in line with what we've got. His place was incredible. And
That's cool. Well, if you come back down again, give me a shout.
yeah, I will.
I'm
Absolutely.
like
I think
15 minutes away from.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I'll definitely touch base with you then, because that just incredible.
It's such and could not ask for a nicer human being too. He's so welcoming, and anyone that wants to kind of come in and take a look at it, it's
basically an open door,
Yeah.
And if he's not open, if he knows you well enough, or if you have a good contact, he'll open it for you at 8 o'clock at night or whatever. So it's incredible.
Special.
Definitely recommend it.
Sounds like you boys would have some fun doing that.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, we just opened up the floor actually to our community today. It was only a few hours before we recorded, but we wanted to bring back the question box. And now that we have you here, Andy, there's a few questions we can get into with you as well.
Cool.
So I've actually answered this one before, but I want to hear Brian's answer, and obviously yours, and Andy too. I'll give a quick one on mine, but Darren R.S. Fox from Ireland is asking, best course we've ever played and why? I've told the story on the podcast before about playing East Lake in Georgia. That was hands down my best course I've ever played. But how about you guys?
Go ahead, Andy.
I cannot answer that. I can't.
You've played too many courses, probably.
No,
It's not.
It's not that it's too many, but I would say every links course that I played in Scotland is my favorite. Truly.
Yeah.
And it sounds snobby and whatnot. Or Washington is my favorite. Where I grew up. I mean, that would probably, if I had to pick one, if you put a gun to my head, I would probably say Washington. But I can play that one anytime. It's I can't just walk out my door and drive for a couple hours and go to Scotland. So the links courses in Scotland, Musselburgh Old Course, the history that you're standing on. I mean, there were 4 Open Championships held there in the early 1800s or mid 1800s, not early, but in the mid 1800s. Kilspindie Golf Club over in Scotland is probably one of my favorites. It was a beautiful walk. It's a links course. It's shorter, perfect for hickories. That would be up at the top too, but I can't name one favorite.
How about you, Brian?
I got that question recently as well, and I think there are so many different variables there. The place that's really special to my heart, I think, is Wayhill at Saucon Valley. I mean, again, just same thing as you, Andy. It's
Yeah.
where I grew up, and I have so many memories. But my answer to this has always been I've never played a bad golf course when I'm with good people, and
Oh,
it's
dude,
just
Oh,
that's spot
it
on.
what
just
an answer.
That's a
I
great
mean,
answer.
it's
You win
just
the
yeah.
answer question for
Yeah.
tonight. I
It's
can't
because I've gotten that question too many times. Like it's like asking me to pick my favorite kid. It's like you can't do it.
Well, I can do that with my. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
No, there's just, there are so many good golf courses for so many different reasons. And it's just, anytime you have an opportunity to go spend a few hours out there with some buddies or something, it's just who cares about the golf course?
Yeah.
You're just
Tough
out
to
there to
beat that.
Yep,
spend
Yeah.
a couple hours having a good time
that's
together.
true. You're spot on right with that.
So how about Palmer Spurenberg? How do you guys dress your burgers? Plain Jane or all the toppings?
I wasn't ready for this
Something a
sort of
little bit
deep,
different. How about you?
in-depth turf
Now we're getting
conversation.
into the real hard hitting questions
I
here,
don't have
Andy.
a turf degree, guys. Um,
Just a little bit of fun at the end of the episode,
yeah,
no?
no. Let's see. I definitely not plain Jane. I like fried egg on them.
Oh shit, there you go.
I like there's a hot sauce from Arizona that my wife brought back one year called Mama's Smoking Hot Sauce. I love some of that on there. And then I guess the rest of it's kind of plain Jane, but of course, cheese and bacon and whatnot. But some avocado sometimes too, some guacamole, something like that, but mushrooms. I see. I'm not going to stop now.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not a whole lot
I
I
don't
won't
discriminate.
eat.
There's no discriminating when
Yeah,
it comes to food, right?
equal
Like,
opportunity
let's go.
burger eater.
How about you, Brian? Anything
Oh
specific?
yeah, I have to. No, I mean I'm the same as Andy. I mean I like the bacon, cheese, lettuce, tomato, pickles. Throw a fried egg on there, ketchup and mustard. I'm good to go.
Have you guys,
Yeah.
you guys heard of Max and Irma's before?
Oh yeah,
Restaurant chain. They got something, I don't know if it still exists, but they had something called a garbage burger. And it was kind of like, I think, a little bit of everything that they had in the kitchen. And it was phenomenal. It
They just threw
and
it
the
all on
best
there.
ranch
Yeah,
dressing you could ever ask for.
was.
Oh,
Max and
there you
Irma's
go.
ranch dressing was the best. They were based here in Dublin, Ohio.
Oh, they were really?
Yeah, so I think they're out. I think they're out of business
Yeah, I
now. I'm
think
not sure
so.
if
I
they're
haven't
around
seen or
anymore,
heard
but
of them for a long time now, but
yeah. Oh, they were so good.
what about you, Adam? You got to answer that.
I've always had a problem with barbecue sauce on a burger. As soon as there's barbecue sauce or yeah, bacon, that's up right up my alley.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll do ketchup and mustard if you're just out in the backyard having a barbecue, but if I go into a restaurant like a Texas barbecue, bacon, maybe some onion strings or something like that, that gets me going.
Sweet.
Nice.
Something a little different, right?
Yeah.
I like it.
One more here. What moisture level do you like seeing on your greens? That's from Little Kirchy.
So that's a very appropriately timed question right now.
It is, yeah. It's kind of how we
Um,
started this conversation.
So we like to see a very simple answer, but it's not a simple answer. There's a lot of variables, right? You got to look at what's the forecast, what's the humidity, obviously the temperature, what's the cloud cover going to be? Are we arid? Are we humid? Is it windy? Too much stuff. Our range, I would say, we try to keep them no more than, our happy place is right around 14, 15 up to 17%. That's it. We will sometimes bump them up a little bit, like on the days we have events going on that we know we can't get. We have every Monday we have a large event like Western Michigan University comes, and both 36s are full of, Monday's close to the membership, but they beat the heck out of the course, and we'll juice them up just a little bit more to get through the day. Yeah, that's kind of our number.
You guys recently had a project too, didn't you, Andy? Didn't you guys just do a little renovation?
Our driving
Okay,
range.
geez.
Yeah, we redid
Okay.
the entire driving range. That was a pretty spectacular project.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see that. Back in 95, 96, I helped design I didn't design a course. You can just delete the hell out of it. I
You
helped.
drew it on a napkin. Is that what you did?
I
Yeah,
did. I
yeah.
have
I
a
did a
whole
lot of
bunch of
that
those
too.
somewhere. Back when I was a kid, that's what I would in
Yeah, that's my
school. It
whole
was
high school algebra notebook.
yeah, mine too. Except I threw it away because I had the word algebra on it, and I don't know what
Yeah.
algebra is anymore. But helping being on the crew, actually building a course down in Washtenaw County near Ann Arbor, back in the '90s. So seeing a project like that is really a spectacular thing, and we've got a really large driving range facility. It's all open, all outdoors right now, but they've got bigger plans. But we're looking forward to 2 years from now with a new irrigation system. So
We're not too much further from you. I think I'm only about 8 to 10 hours north of where you are. So not too bad. And I'd say we're very similar. Like our number was always right around that 18. Things would be healthy. If once you got up into the 20s, that's when stuff was pretty wet and slow.
yep,
So being around that 18 mark. And we found with a good wetting agent program, we could get that number down closer to 15, but
yes,
you had to kind of be in your window and not have too much rain and stuff
yeah,
like that. So there is a lot that goes on. But yeah, very, very similar numbers up here.
yep.
You don't want my numbers here at Twisted Ball. They're bad. Non-existent in my backyard these
No
days.
way. Do you even have a TDR back there?
No, come
No,
on.
God no.
We'll send you one of
No.
ours that's broken. You just
Yeah,
send
yeah, that'll work.
it.
Yeah. It'll be just as useful as the one I have right now.
That's awesome. Well, Andy, we don't want to keep you too much later. I know it's Father's Day, it's Sunday evening, and we appreciate you pushing this one. We usually record on Tuesdays, so we kind of everybody was busy this week, and it was nice we were able to get together tonight, and it'll be a quick turnaround to put this out on Tuesday.
Yeah,
So
I appreciate you guys making your adjustment because, like I said, Tuesday when I saw Tuesday at 10, I'm like, well, that's not going to work. Then we tried
yeah,
Wednesday, and I was like, oh, no, that's not.
You didn't want to phone in from a mower
I
out
could
there
have.
at
yeah,
Yes, I could have
Blythefield?
done first live action one. But yeah, I appreciate you guys making the time and bumping it around. It's been great. I've listened. I will. I'll straight up admit. I told Adam this, or I think it was on Instagram, that I haven't even listened to an episode with the two of you yet. I'm still catching up from before because there's too many podcasts that I listen to, and
Sure.
I get a new notification. I listen to that one, and then I'm like, well, I got to listen to these guys, and then I get another one, and then I listen to one episode from like a year ago, and I'm like, okay, someday I'll catch up. And then you're like, yeah, we format changed a little bit. So okay, I should probably listen to something. So to to follow John Jeffries.
yeah.
Like, wow,
That's
guys,
a tough
you
one.
think you're maybe on the downhill side of this already, which was really
Oh
cool. I don't know
man.
if you guys watched the Open today, but they won the USGA award at Pinehurst, and Bryson made a big deal about thanking them and the grounds crew and stuff. So
Yeah, how
really,
cool is that?
so cool. It was really cool. And another thing that I thought was cool, and I think is absolutely true. I listened to when last week when John thanked you guys for what you're doing to spread the word, if you will, the gospel, or however you say it, but to get the word out there about the industry, and because it's the unsung heroes of a country club or of a golf club or whatever. And sure, you can have a pool staff, and you can have a wait staff, and you can have cart boys, and you can have bag boys, but if you take away the grounds crew, you take away the golf course, which is the whole reason that most of these places are
Yeah.
there. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't, there's not a lot of tips being thrown our way when you drive past somebody on a mower. It's more of a head nod, or they're yelling at you to shut it off.
Get
Which
out
is
of my way.
more appropriate. So
Firing shots at you.
yeah. So I wanted to say thank you, echoing John's statement of thank you guys for doing what you're doing. I think it's great. And I think what you're doing with the merger and all that sort of stuff, if you will, is really freaking cool. And I look forward to staying on board, listening and seeing what's coming up, because I think it's pretty exciting. So you guys are doing a phenomenal job. It's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great chatting.
Yeah,
We'll
absolutely.
have to stay in touch. And like I said, if you're ever coming back down here to Dr. Herdzen's area, if you're
Yeah.
coming to do one of those conferences again, let me know.
Yep, absolutely.
Love to
Yeah, I
connect in person.
probably will be. That'd be great, man. If you guys are ever over this way, Adam, if you take a really bad wrong turn and you end up over here, give me a call and I'll point you in
Just
the
make sure you have your passport when you make that
yeah,
wrong
yeah.
turn.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Just don't say things like A and what's that all about.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
And bring some Canadian Molson from up there,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Beauty.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll bring you some syrup down.
Yeah.
Syrup and hockey
There you
pucks.
go.
That's all I
There you
need.
That's
go.
right.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
Well, great chatting, Andy.
Yeah,
Enjoyed
had a
it.
great time. Thank you very much.
All right, Andy. Well, have a good one.
All right.
We'll chat soon.
Okay. Take care.
That was a bit of a different one, but really cool.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love talking to fellow golf geeks. It's great.
Yeah. And there's always something different too. Like I really didn't know what to expect there. And a few times he kept talking and I was so just like zoned in on what he was saying. I wasn't even thinking about anything else. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, cool experiences going over there and just seeing some of the history of golf and greenkeeping and all that. It's really, really neat.
yeah. And then there is so much history to our industry and everything that's gone on in the game. So it is really cool to hear some of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. I have yet to be over to go overseas. That's certainly on the bucket list. Got to get over there and do some stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That was another question that came in from Darren R.S. Fox. He said, "Are you guys coming to Northern Ireland this year to film the Irish Open in September?"
If we can find a sponsor, we'll be there.
That'd be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Go over to
yeah.
Ireland for that.
Travel
Yeah,
is not cheap these days, let me tell you.
especially going overseas. That'd be
Yeah.
wild.
Dude, I'm going to Bermuda.
Oh,
Going to go see Kenton Brunson over at here in a couple months. I'm excited for that, but that was surprisingly not as bad of a ticket to get over there. So I got to keep digging in. My brother actually lives in London, England. He's been
okay.
over there for like 6 years, so that's been on my to-do list to get over there and see him, and then take a couple weeks, maybe tour the countryside. So that's what Andy was talking about, all those golf courses over there. I'm sitting here taking notes.
Nice,
Pencil
nice.
notes on, all right, gotta go there, gotta go there, gotta go there.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if you're a golfer, we talk about a lot of the places you could go in the States, but there's, Scotland, Ireland,
Oh,
England, even Australia's got a ton of
oh
golf
yeah.
courses. There's some really cool destinations you could go.
Yeah, all over the world, man. I mean, yeah, like you said, Australia, New Zealand, there's so
Mm.
many great golf courses in New Zealand, new and old. I mean, just they're everywhere. They're everywhere. That's the beautiful thing about digital media these days too, right? You can keep up with what's going on all over the world and see what they're doing and just keep adding more and more places to the list that I need to go see.
Yeah, it was cool to ask him. We've talked to a few different people from overseas, and I always ask that question. The biggest difference from what happens here in America and overseas, and it is cool to hear about having two greenkeepers on a course.
Yeah,
Could you
it's
imagine going
crazy.
to a golf course? There's two guys or two people that are just taking care of the course.
It's
We're over here,
insane.
we got 25 people, doing all different things. So it is a little bit different over there, but it's they still make it happen.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is. It's crazy, just the resources and the fact that they can still get it done. It's great.
All right, I got two more for you here. So C Prosper 23, what's the best way to reach out to a superintendent if you want to volunteer at their course? This one came in right after we had two different people reach out to us and ask us this exact same question from different parts of the United States. And I don't know if you have any other advice, but what I had been telling people, the biggest thing is, figure out obviously what course it is. If you reach out to that golf course, they can get you in touch with the superintendent. If you don't know anybody else in that area, you don't have any other, means of communication or lines of communication, just reach out to the golf course. You could even go on the golf course's website. They may have an email address for the superintendent. So I don't know if you have any other advice, but at least just getting in touch with the golf course is a good start.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, that's I think John even talked about it and Thomas Bastis, when we chatted with him, just reach out to the superintendent. It's usually they're fairly easy to figure out what it is. I mean, whether you just call the golf course and just say, "Hey, I'm looking to get in touch with someone to volunteer at XYZ event." That's a place to start. Oftentimes I would assume they'll give you an email address and you can reach out. Obviously the Thomas mentioned his PJ Tour agronomy social media pages, Instagram, Twitter. He said send him a message, so as long as you're following one another, you can reach out, send a direct message, and he'd be happy to connect you. If there's a certain area of the country you're in or certain tournament you want to try and be involved with, reach out to him and he'll be happy to help you out. He actually mentioned to me when I saw him last week, he had his first person that he connected because of, these conversations that we've been having and what he mentioned during the podcast. He actually connected his first volunteer just kind of through what we were talking about on the show. So that's certainly an avenue. And then, regionally, your local superintendent, GCSAA chapters, that's always a great resource. Reach out to your chapter administration staff. They'll usually have contacts with someone. Obviously there's going to be some that are very difficult and inaccessible. I think there are certain ones that I think we all kind of know what I'm talking about that have a pretty closed list, but for the most part, and just like Andy was saying, he was at the LPGA event this week. They're always looking for people. They're always looking for help at Corn Ferry events. A lot of the other PGA Tour events, they're always looking for people to help. So just don't hesitate to reach out. There's always ways to get it done. Reach out to us. We'll do whatever we can to connect you to someone. So and I think John mentioned it too. It's like that when you're showing up at camp and you're nervous and afraid to talk to anyone, just suck it up and send an email, send a direct message or whatever, and see where it goes.
Yeah, just meeting one person in this industry could change everything. So
Yeah, 100%.
just reach out, pick up the phone or send that email. You never know what's going to happen.
Yep.
Last one here, and this is a fun one. This is a good one.
Oh boy.
Palmer, second one of the day. Going to school in the fall. Congratulations, brother. Any tips for the first week? Wow.
Go ahead. You lead that.
So we do talk a lot about networking in turf. And I remember going to school. The best thing that we did, we had somebody in our class who we've had on the show, Seamus Campbell. He got everybody into a group right away so we could chat, we could send pictures, we could share homework, we could share ideas. He got on that immediately. So first week, get in there, create some sort of group chat or some sort of thread where you guys can talk to each other and share, because that may be something that could continue for years and years down the road and help you, move on in your career. So that's a little something that I picked up, and I think that'd be a good idea. Don't wait till the second month of the school year to get something like that going. Get it going in the first week.
No, that's great advice, because those are going to be relationships that you carry on for the rest of your life. So 100% do that. Connect with your fellow classmates and also your advisors and teachers. Get to know your advisor well, because they're going to be a great resource for you, not just while you're in school, but throughout your career. I mean, there are so many, people and instances that I can think of, where the advisors, the professors, and all that have played an instrumental role in people's careers for, throughout their entire career. So get to know your advisor, get to know your professors, and just start building those relationships as early as possible.
Nailed it. All right. Well, this was a great week. We got to announce Colin Caulfield. Picked him earlier. He won the package, so we're sending that
Nice.
that package over to Australia.
Oh, wow.
Expensive one, Colin, but it's coming, buddy.
Outstanding.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody that rated the show, left reviews. Guys, that's the biggest way that we can grow this show. That's the biggest way we move up on charts. We get recommended to other people, golf fans and things like that. So if you can rate the show, send it to your friends, leave a review. That's going to help us out big time. And we definitely appreciate that stuff.
That's awesome. Australia. That's going to be the first bit of gear in Australia, maybe, huh?
No way. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Turf Today stuff over there.
There's, I don't know if we've sent anything over. There's been a few people who've ordered stuff over there.
Yeah, okay,
but yeah, this will be the first box that I'll be mailing over there. And Colin's he's a guest on the show. He's been integral in helping us move a lot of stuff along over there. And, we had about 15 different reviews and rates, I think, over the last few days. So I just put them all in a hat and picked his name. So
outstanding.
Such a beauty.
Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, man. I'm not even going to tell him either. He's just going to hear this on Tuesday or Wednesday. Probably Wednesday when he listens to it. So,
and the package will be there 2 weeks later.
Yeah, exactly. So congrats, Colin. We appreciate all the support from you guys. Keep that going. And we had a lot of people reaching out about the Superintendent Network knife. And we're going to have a little bit more news about that coming up, because there is a way you guys can get one of those in your hands.
Yes. Super secret.
Super secret. We'll let you guys know soon. So, You don't have anything else for me, buddy? I'll let these people go. We'll let them know that they can keep their reels sharp, and we will be here next week.
Outstanding. Another great episode. Good work.